just finished streaming Resident Evil 6, and I was
1, 2.
taking a little tinkle, and I got sent a little something that is so diabolical, I had to hop back in the saddle and yap about it. It is incomprehensible.
Oh, and also, yeah, this involves Kick, live streaming, because of course it does. Everything in the world that is terrible is somehow connected to Kick. It really is.
I guess by the time I post...
I mean, what would you expect about a kiddie casino, crypto gambling, rigged offshore money laundering operation? Allegedly. That's not a wrestling move.
I did my best to censor this. It is brutal. It is extremely hard to watch. I also cut the clip short, but they pan back and he is covered in blood. Raja Jackson is a professional fighter who has unloaded, I counted 27 blows to an unconscious man. And they all are connecting. This is not like fake. It's not like he's pulling any of his punches. They are all hitting. That can be fatal. That is...
I mean, Charlie's outrage here is more than appropriate. I mean, that was absolutely disgusting. That was like watching... When I was a kid, when I say a kid, I was in my 20s. There was a thing before everybody had fast internet connections. We all had dial-up. Thing called bum fights. You can look this up. Please don't look up the actual video, but if you want to learn more about this scumbag who made these videos, and I have to admit, in our 20s, we thought it was haha funny. Well, what it was you could pay by check because you couldn't like do a credit card really online yet. You could pay by check and get a videotape, a VHS cassette mailed to you, which would have homeless people being exploited in Las Vegas, fighting each other and doing other types of criminal mischief for $5, $10 a pop. It was really gross, but this is more of a confession than anything, because it's not like, I'm not going to say like, as 20-year-olds, I was in the Marine Corps. I remember like us being really into like getting drunk and watching these. And now as a real adult, as an unk, as the kids might say, I can sit back and look at that and be like, that's absolutely disgusting. Everybody who ordered that should have to do community service, including myself. And the guys who produced that should be in jail. And I think they actually did go to jail for a hot minute. But this has like and that's what Kick is turning into. Kick is like turning into Live Leaks 2.0. It's like the new ogreish.com. It's like where you want to go when you're like a maladjusted latchkey kid, when you're in the future incels of America club, and you want to get your jollies off because mommy and daddy didn't put empathy into you. You go to kick.com. Okay, so those of you who are under the age of 30, who weren't into like MMA back in its heyday, when there was like multiple really good feds, Pride and UFC. His father, Rampage Jackson, is Quentin Rampage Jackson, a veteran of both Pride, which is now defunct, and also Ultimate Fighting Championship. Now, with that being said, I want to take a look at how, show y'all something here, what we're working with. This is the kind of dude, you want to know how like Raja grew up? This is the kind of father figure he had. And which makes me sad because I really like Rampage's fighting style, but as a man, like doing this kind of stuff, there ain't no way, bro. Like this ain't it right here. I want this is the kind of father figure we're dealing with, and you wonder why you got the output that you got. I can't even remember what this was about. Something stupid on reality TV show. Oof, that elbow was smooth, though. Can you see that again? That elbow was smooth. I gotta give credit where credit is due. I mean, he just sliced through that door, like, with that elbow, with his human elbow, like it was just paper mache. So, that's what we're dealing with here as a father figure. And this brings me to a point I wanted to get across about martial arts in general. And it's been said that, Bruce Lee is the father of modern day mixed martial arts, because Bruce Lee's thing was all about efficiency and effectiveness. His thing was, I don't care about your style. I don't care about your lineage. I don't care about who your master is, all this foolishness. He said, I'm going to take what's effective from every single fighting style and combine it into one. So I only have, my repertoire is only the most effective moves, right? But in doing that, what Bruce didn't realize was by promoting that kind of thinking or technique, and it was nothing he did wrong, he can't control another man's actions, that you took, as woo-woo as it is, when you remove the philosophy, when you remove the woo-woo, I'll call it, the philosophy, the ethics from martial arts, and you just be like, hey, learn these techniques, and there's no discussion of when to use these techniques, when not to use these techniques, how to gauge somebody if they're game. That's another thing in the fight game. If you've ever been in a combat sport, they'll say, hey, take it easy on Robert, he's not game. They wouldn't say it like that, but what it means is like that person's not at your same level. So you shouldn't be going 100% against them. And you should be able to make that determination from context clues. Now, your context clues could be off in an actual fight, and then you have to like readjust accordingly to that. But in general, you should be looking at that because you don't know. It was told, I remember being in the Marine Corps and like they taught us how to quote unquote fight. They taught us Marine Corps martial arts. I don't even think they do that anymore. If you played Metal Gear Solid, it's like the next iteration of CQB, of close quarters combat, right? That kind of foolishness. And I remember what always stuck with me, a guy said, look, first thing you should be trying to do is look for the exit, because he was straight up. He was like, look, we're here in Pensacola, Florida. This is a non-deployable duty station. Y'all are not going to be going into a war zone and using this. Well, he's like, what you effing idiots are going to be doing is you're going to be going to a bar and trying to use this stuff and prove that you're man. Do not do it, because you are going to run into somebody who will absolutely kill you 10 times before you hit the ground, right? So always you should be looking for the exit. Always try to get away from a fight. But if the fight finds you and you have nowhere to go, then you know how to handle yourself. And without even that basic knowledge, that basic like philosophy of just how to handle yourself as a human being in the world, what's going to happen is it's the equivalent of giving a child a loaded gun and saying, have at it, kid. And that's what Quentin Jackson did with his son Raja. So this also bears responsibility on him, because again, in computer language, if you've ever talk to a computer programmer, they'll say something like, well, why doesn't this work? And they'll say, well, what was the code that you put in? And they'll say garbage in, garbage out. When you put garbage in, which is what Quentin Rampage Jackson put into his son, absolute garbage, then all you're going to output is garbage.
That's it. They told me to hit him and just leave. Somebody who pulled me off of him will leave. I'm telling you, I'm going to hit him as many times as I can. Watch.
That's indefensible. You can see him literally planning it off the back
so
of them
gross.
Giving him like the instructions for a work where he'd come in and he'd deliver.
Sitting here telling people that he's going to break the wrestling code, I should say, which we're going to get into that, of why he should never been anywhere near this event. This should have never had. This was completely preventable. We're going to get into that, of how this is preventable, and why he shouldn't have been sitting here. Whose fault this actually is? It's absolutely Rampage. It's absolutely Rampage's kid's fault, Raja's fault, 100%. I'm not victim blaming, but there is a level of fault here that's going to trickle down, and we're going to talk about it.
Disregard what they said.
See, this might be what gets him in prison for a very long time, is that he actually did stream to Kick. This would probably be the one time where somebody is going to actually face repercussions for streaming violent content on Kick.com, because how this has happened before. This has happened before in pro wrestling, and there's a term for it. It's called going into business for yourself. And what it means is you're going off script, and now you want to just beat somebody up and do violence to them. And when that happens, there's usually no legal repercussion for it, because how are the police going to prove that this isn't a pro wrestling angle, right? They're not gonna be able to prove that at all. So you can also be like, oh, it was just part of the show, and then something happened. But he's saying right here, I am going into business for myself, live on Kick. I can think of a wrestler this happened with a couple years ago. her ring name was Sexy Star, a Mexican lucha libre lady. She put a lady in an armbar to finish the match, except this wasn't a fake armbar, and she really tweaked her arm and snapped it and broke it. And immediately, next day, many, like, every major wrestling organization in the world was coming out on social media saying she will never be in our ring, she'll never be in our locker room, she's absolutely, and she is blackballed. She cannot do this ever again. She cannot wrestle, because if you take liberties with somebody's body who trusts you to do that, you can't be trusted you've retired. You can't be trusted to be in this profession. And like Dirt 313 is saying in the chat, yeah, Kick is a major. There's something about Kick because it's a no rules, lawless red room, a deep web red room that feels like it should be only accessible through the Onion browser through Tor, but somehow you can get it right on the ClearNet. You know, Dirt 313 says also a Russian streamer who let his girlfriend die freezing because of a donator challenged him to do it. Yeah, this was on Kick, and also last week a man was tortured to death on Kick. Don't even get me started on that. And on top of all that, it's just a mechanism to get your kids addicted to cryptocurrency gambling. Disgusting. Actual demons. There it is. This quote-unquote backstage, because this is what a lot of these Jim Cornette would call a mud show. They don't have a proper locker room. They don't have a proper, it's not a, not even a gymnasium, it's a bar. So they're hanging out in the parking lot of the bar. And there's no problem with that. No problem with that. I go to shows like this all the time, and I have immense respect for anybody who wants to put on a show for me and put their body on the line. But here's the thing. I am not a pro wrestler. I am not connected to the business. I have no business back here. So what happened was, whose fault this ultimately is, besides, on a list of blame, Roger Jackson is king of whose fault this is and should be in prison, probably for decades. But the fault also comes to who brought this guy backstage, who took him in the back. Because that back, even if you're a theater kid and you don't know anything about wrestling, or you play in a band, that backstage area is sacred. It's holy. It's for workers only. And if you're back there under some pretense of somebody, you're bringing a hot girl back there, or your boys, you just cool enough, you need to be on your best behavior around these people and just be thankful to be there and get out of their way while they're attempting to do their jobs. So Syko Stu here is already assuming that this guy's in the business, because he's looking at a guy, he's fit, he's muscular, he's got an attitude, and also he knows people are filming this. So when you put a camera in a pro wrestler's face, they are going to protect the business. That's what they do. Back in the day, pro wrestlers used to go out before even Kick or TikTok or cell phones or anything else in the 70s and the 80s or even the 90s. Pro wrestlers would go out to bars, and if they got into a fight with with just a normie, they had to beat this person within an inch of their life, because if they didn't, they were getting fired, because they had to protect the idea that this was real. Now, we don't have to do that anymore because everyone knows this is a show. But again, these are men and women doing their job. Roger Jackson has no business, one, back there, and then two, if whoever brought him back there should have instructed him to keep his mouth shut, because Stu is already assuming this guy's a worker, this guy's in on it, this guy's smartened up. So now there's a camera in his face, so Stu is going to do a pro wrestling thing because Stu is a pro wrestler.
What, you don't know me?
Hell no. Yeah.
Hey, I think that's a little... Oh, you don't.
See, and now immediately look at this.
He's not a fucking worker, bro.
He's not a worker. He's not a worker. Well, if you know he's not a worker, why is he back there? Tell me why he's back there. It doesn't make any sense. Why is he even back there?
What the fuck was that?
You don't sell it? Dude, he's not a fucking worker, bro.
You hear him say, "You gonna sell it?" What that means is, he's saying, "Oh, Raja got hit with the can, right?" So what he should be doing is he should be acting like it hurt. But now they're in an actual fight here.
What the fuck was it? Hold on. I don't play that shit, bro.
Oh, sorry.
No, I will fuck him
we're
up,
good.
bro.
I know you will.
No.
We're good.
And he takes it way too far when he takes a beer can. I don't know if it's like a real beer can or like one of those breakaway.
And again, like as a pro wrestling fan who goes to shows just like this, I have if you want to get in on the show without like being in a part of the show, which you should not be trying to be a part of the show, but you should be cheering for the good guys or booing the bad guys. I will talk all kinds of shit to the wrestlers while they're performing, and having a good time to try to like accentuate and be a part of the show, which I paid money for. But when that match is over and the guy's at his merch table trying to hustle his t-shirt, I'm gonna go back there and I'm gonna say what's up to him and I'm gonna buy his shirt, because I'm an audience member trying to make a performance happening, just like he's the performer also we're a team here. Raja Jackson has no idea what this even is. He thinks a man just like insulted him and pulled his bitch card there. That's what he's thinking. Instead of Stu was saying, oh, here's a wrestler or somebody at least who's associated with the business and a camera's rolling, so I'm going to do a pro wrestling thing. Who took Raja Jackson back there? They should never be allowed. They should be 86 from the organization. Whatever, backyard wrestling fed this, and I say this out of love, guys. I don't mean that, but whatever wrestling school / fed this is, he should be gone.
Like stunt ones, but he takes it and he crushes it on Raja Jackson's head. Then you can see him get really fired up about it, and all the other wrestlers are also saying to Syko Stu, like, bro, what the fuck are you doing? He's not like a worker here or anything. That was too far. And that's what started this. And then Raja Jackson waited until their match. Then he stormed in and then beat him potentially to death for it. Now, I think if Raja Jackson had swung on Syko Stu after the beer can thing, you could definitely make a strong case that he was acting in self-defense. Because that is unexpected, it was unprovoked, and it was kind of a crazy thing for...
I disagree with Charlie here. Because here's why. If he would have... For two reasons. If he would have swung on him after getting in his... So Raj Jackson gets in Stu's face. And let's say Stu swings on him right there. One, goes back to... There's cameras rolling. People have got phone cameras up. People have cameras up. And so he's like, oh, we're doing a wrestling thing. So he could have completely plausible deniability to say, oh, I thought we were doing an angle. I don't even know who you were. I assumed we were somebody who were trying to do an angle, like whatever. Or let me tell you what's supposed to happen when a non-worker, when a mark like you or I thinks they want to step up to pro wrestlers. What's supposed to happen? This is from back in ye day of Triple H and the referee and Sting Austin having a match, and I want you to see what happens when a fan tries to interject themselves into a workplace. And this is what this is. This is a performance. This is no different than a concert. This is no different than a stage play. This is no different than me coming into your workplace and starting to throw hands at you for some, because they don't know who you are. They assume that you're crazy.
And I was a babyface at the time, and Triple H was a heel. You're always looking out for your guys' back. Triple H, stand-up cat. He picked that dude up, slammed him, and started punching his lights out.
That's what's supposed to happen.
And he's yelling to the security guard, get your ass in here. And the security guard didn't know where to shadow wind his watch. He was confused. It happened so fast. And I couldn't do anything. I couldn't help beat the guy up. I'm the baby face.
Yeah.
But Triple H was watching my back, and he beat the snot out of that guy. And I went backstage, and I had a couple of words with the guy. And I didn't take a cheap shot at him or nothing like that, but I had a little come-to-Jesus meeting with him and let him know how I felt. But I always gave Triple H credit for doing that. But the thing about it is, when you pay your money to come into that building, you've earned the right to voice your opinion, cheer, boo, do whatever to the wrestlers. And we expect that.
Yeah.
You don't want to be spit on. You don't want to be punched, slapped, none of that. But when someone crosses those rails, when someone comes between those ropes, you're considered fair game. And by and large, brother, back in the day, if you jumped in the ring, you would get your ass handed to you in a hurry for a shoot. That's how we dealt with that problem.
Was he dropping potatoes on you? Was he getting you good, or was
He'd only got a couple in on me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you want to be in a wrestling ring, go to a wrestling school. No, 100%. Like, again, I'm not going to come down to your place of work and start just beating on you. And again, these guys who've come here to work, who've come here to make a living and put their bodies on the line for your entertainment, they don't know you're jumping in the ring. You think it's a funny goof, a funny gaff. They don't know if you've got a gun. They don't know if you got a knife. You're just being insane. They don't know. So they are fully within their rights to beat the tar out of you. So the idea that Stu hit Raja Jackson with that beer can, I don't care about that. I don't care about that one bit, because Raja Jackson should have never been back there. And if he was allowed back there, he should have never been in a worker's face like that while he's trying to get ready to go to work.
Syko Stu to do, not knowing for sure if Raja Jackson was a worker in the event or not. It was a bad judgment call for sure from Stu. And he was just like way too fucking committed to being the heel. Like he was really deep into his method acting like fucking Shia LaBeouf style, and he did the beer can thing, and it was definitely over the line. But here's something a lot of people aren't showing enough of, that Syko Stu was very apologetic when he learned that Raja Jackson was not a worker at the event. He apologized 3 times. They shook hands multiple times, and Raja said, like, hey, it's good, I get it. Multiple times. Meanwhile, he was just like bubbling with anger, waiting for his chance to fucking assault this man.
See, and this is what gets me. This is what hurts me the most about it, and why Raja Jackson needs to go to prison, and why he's not a real man. Like, because Stu here is like he doesn't even know who he is. What he's doing is being like, oh, this guy could be a fan. This guy could be mentally off. There's some reason he's back here. Somebody knows him and thought enough of him to bring him back here. So it's like, let me be cordial to the man. I don't want to, I'd rather go back to the way wrestling was. I'd rather go back to the days of, let's see here. Vader Kuwait. Yeah. I'd rather go back to this, man. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah. Because he asked him, is wrestling fake?
Is one of the finest athletic endeavors.
He asked him if wrestling's fake, and the Undertaker's like trying to be diplomatic about it and be like, it's not fake, like we do, blah blah blah.
Alone. There's several people who could care whether or not I can wrestle or not, but the message that I bring when I go to the ring, my creatures of the night, they don't care what it is. But let me assure you, it's the most physical thing that you would ever do.
Right, he's trying to be diplomatic. It's an interview, blah blah blah, and then
excuse me.
He asked Vader.
I'm sorry, You gave him a chance to respond to that.
One of my
question.
favorite guys of all time.
I'm going to ask you now. I'd like to respond to the same
Japanese
question.
legend.
Okay, please, go ahead. Well, my astute colleague, the heavyweight champion of the world, very diplomatic individual. I'm perhaps not quite so diplomatic. In fact, I find your question and your remarks insulting to what I do. Physically, no man can do what I do in the ring.
Agreed.
If they could,
Leon would hurt
why wouldn't they be out there making the type of money we make and enjoy the type of fame and lifestyle that we enjoy? So I find your remark and your question insulting.
It's not my question. It's somebody.
Does that fucking feel fake, huh? Does that feel fake?
Anything.
Does it?
I'm scared.
Why don't you come down tonight, and before I kick his ass, I'll kick your ass.
Okay.
All right?
This is light too.
Hey, we're not here to be insulted. I'm not here to be insulted.
Okay.
He didn't even do like the John Stossel.
هذه شيء من الاثنين يا اما صجيه يا اما المخرج عاملها لعبه في.
Yeah, that was lighter than I remember it. And David Schultz.
Fake violence in the wrestling ring led to this real-life brutality.
I think this is fake. You think it's fake?
Hey, you deserve that.
Huh?
Let me come to your job.
That's open hand slap, huh? You think it's fake? You come like them in the face? Easy. Huh? What do you mean?
That's
fake,
protecting the business. That's called protecting the business. Again, let me come down to you to where you work and tell you have a fake job. You made it all the way to the end. Thanks for walking to the edge with me. If you felt something stir, go ahead and like and subscribe and leave your impact in the comments. You can follow me live on Twitch at Lumencast, where the Sanctuary unfolds in real time. And if you're ready to kick it up a notch, take it a step further, our Patreon is now open. Come on in.